Hey, Tony Gaskins here, popping in. Now, I was away for a couple days, and I believe what was it, Thursday and Friday, which did not want to be, but I kind of almost had to be because I didn't have the strength to speak. I lost a friend who, not like in the sense of friend like we talk every day, but Coach Amir at University of South Florida basketball, men's basketball. He brought me in last year. I met him through Coach Ulrich at Kansas State men's basketball when I worked with Kansas State. And then one coach, Coach Ulrich, introduced me to Coach Amir, and Coach Amir passed from complications in a surgery. And it just kind of hit me because I'm 40 years old, he's 43. And just to see how life can transpire, just how tomorrow isn't promised. And you look at someone and they, he's had complications, in the past, but you feel like, it's done, you beat it. And then to see that, and the thing about it for me is this has happened to me quite a bit, in my life, quite a few times, where I meet somebody and not long after I meet them, they pass away. And even distant, where I don't meet somebody, but I remember when the rapper Nipsey Hussle was murdered. I had been studying him for the last 30 days, listening to his music. Like anybody that's impacting the culture and that people are listening to and gravitating towards, I will study them and see like what their message is and who they are and what they package and how they package it. And I was studying Nipsey Hussle, and I remember telling my wife, I'm like, I think he's going to get killed. And I told my barber the same thing. And one day my wife yelled out across the house and told me, she was like, "Oh, Nipsey Hussle got killed." And I had just told her like a few days before. And it was crazy because when we lost Coach Amir, I text him that morning. He was on my heart, and just like his team, his program. And I text him that morning, and it said, "Hey coach, hope you're well. I want to know if you know of any middle school AAU teams in the area, because I want to sponsor a team with season tickets to your games." And that was like 10 o'clock. And then when I talked to Coach Ulrich, who connected me with him, he told me that Coach Amir had gone into surgery that morning at like 7, 8 a.m. And I'm like, man. And it was a very eerie feeling that I'm like, on the day that he passes, it was put on my heart to, be a blessing, so to speak, to his program. And because I was gonna buy like 25 or so season tickets, which is a big deal at one time. And but it just hit me, and I'm like, why was he put on my heart? And for me, it's a bit different because I had a friend years ago who died from cancer, and it's a rare cancer that is mainly found in athletic black men between the ages of 25 and 42. And I can't remember the name of it. It's a long word, and it starts like in the back, like in their back, like on a kidney or something. and he was having bad back pain, and he went to the doctor, and he was diagnosed with this cancer. And with that cancer, they give you a year to live. And he probably passed in 6 months. And I remember he came to me out of the blue. Like we knew each other growing up, but we from two different cities. You know, I'm from Arbondale, he's from Lakeland, and his name was Alex Dukes. And he came and he connected with me, and he started hanging around me and just doing what I was doing. But at that time, I wasn't walking with the Lord. And he passed not long after that. And I just was like, later I was like, Lord, was that an opportunity? Like, what were you sending him to me to lead him to you? And so since then, I've learned, you know, and it really woke me up, you know, the other day when Coach Amir passed, that we have to be intentional about our living. And there's not a day, you know, we can't let a day pass that we are not intentionally living, and that anybody can be called at any time. Like any day could be your day. And as the next day after Coach Amir passed, I had to record an audiobook. And I felt I didn't want to cancel on the engineer because he had moved his schedule around. And I kind of process things differently. Like I'm not really in that sense of, like, I don't really cry about that. Like I will cry easier on a movie that has an inspirational speech in it or inspirational part than I will about like death and things like that. I grieve differently and I process it differently. And I went and I recorded, you know, I had to finish up the recording for the audiobook that I'm working on entitled War, Wisdom After Rebellion. And almost the entire recording, which could have been, I don't know, an hour and a half straight, I was in tears. I mean, I had no tissue, so in tears, everything flowing. And I think a portion of those tears was me feeling and processing, you know, the death of Amir, but having yet given to it. And I believe a lot of times when we lose somebody, we feel a piece of it, of ourselves, because it reminds you of how your demise can be untimely. And you process. I remember I went live and I was talking about the death of Nipsey Hussle, and I started crying, and people were like, man, do you know Nipsey Hussle like that? You know, were you close to him or something? And it wasn't really about him. It was more so processing my own mortality. And that one day I too will have to leave those who know and love me. And just not knowing when that day is. And I've kind of been processing this for like a last year or so. And just having this sense of intentionality of when I'm coming on here and filming, and just because at certain days I was like, man, Tony, you really go hard. Like you, there's no other. I was talking to myself. I'm like, there's no other life coach at your level who produces 2 1-hour teachings almost every day. And as I thought about it, for me, it's just because I have a understanding of mortality. I have an understanding that the clock is ticking, and we don't know the day nor the hour that Jesus will return, nor do we know the day or the hour that our earthly experience will come to an end. And we don't know which will come first. So I'm very intentional about my production, meaning what I'm producing. and what I'm getting out there. And now I'm even more in a sense of cleaning up house, like getting things in order, making sure the estate plan is in order, the will. And I think a lot of times, the life insurance and all of those things, I think a lot of times we don't think about those things. And I'm going to introduce that and bring that to y'all as well here eventually for those who don't have life insurance, because a lot of times when we pass away, our family has to do a GoFundMe because we didn't want to spend, $20 a month, $50 a month on a policy. And so I have to get things in order. And I know sometimes you may look and you may say, man, Tony is doing a lot. Like, he has a lot of businesses. He's always promoting something or creating something new. But for me, I really think about legacy. I think about legacy, and I think about the inheritance I will leave my children. And I also think about maxing out and living my life to the fullest. I have a watch company coming out soon. And I have a fintech, which is financial technology, I think it stands for, company coming out soon. And I'll continue to produce just because I don't want to take anything to my grave. Like, I want everything that God gave me, every idea, to be here on earth. And I really don't care what anyone thinks about it, or the people who say having too many streams of income is a distraction, or producing too many things is. And it's like, okay, yeah, maybe for you that is too much and you can't handle it and it's a distraction for you, but God made everybody different. No other human being on this planet has your fingerprint. We are unique, and whatever is inside of us, we have to get it out. And I was on a crazy run at one point, and it started to scare me when I was young, because I went on Oprah at 25 and Tyra Banks, and I did that without a publicist. And I had a call with a publicist the other day, and normally when you have a call with somebody, they follow up the same day. And it was a publicist who represents one of my clients, and did a lot for her, like, Time magazine and all this stuff. And I think I intimidated the publicist, because when she heard my story and like just what I've already done on my own, I think she was like, man, you've done more than what I do for my clients. And when you have those type of runs, it get a little scary, because you're like, Lord, does this mean I'm getting ready to go? And as I think about it, it's very interesting when I look and I see, like, for me, polarizing deaths. And maybe when you look in your life, if you see anyone that you know personally who had like a run up, like they had like an amazing year the year before they passed. And if you know of any examples like that, I'm not saying put it in the comments or anything. I'm just saying think about this introspectively. It's like sometimes that happens. And so that can kind of induce some fear if you allow it. But, I refuse to live in fear and worry. But what I do want to do is make sure that I'm precautious, that I am doing what needs to be done and getting things in order. And I'm sharing this today because although I don't feel like talking, we're supposed to have a small business Saturday today, but I had to change that, had to move it just because of this situation. I'm not in a place to where, I know a lot of times, people are content machines and things, and just everything is a business. Me, it's like I don't mind losing money for however long to listen to my heart and be genuine and be sensitive to my spirit, because I know God will repay. And there's people on here who know Amir. It's coaches who subscribe to me who know Amir. And I also felt that although I can like muster through and I can talk about something and just come up and speak on something, it would be insensitive to have something completely off topic when we've lost somebody who was a very pure soul. And I got an email today, and it was from somebody who is not hearing from the Lord but wants to be special. And they were talking about, and I'm pretty sure it's because I was absent for 2 days on YouTube, that the person assumed that it had something to do with my marriage, when my marriage is completely 100% perfect. Like I can't even, there's nothing I can ask for in my marriage. Like it's nothing like, when God calls you to something, he will give you what you need so that you, if you're walking with him, you won't lack in that area. So with me talking about love and relationships every day, almost, other than when I talk about business and purpose and things of that nature, God has given my wife and I what we need. And it's amazing. But, you know, I get emails from people who are speaking damnation on me and saying it's a warning from the Lord, but really it's not from the Lord, because I'm walking with the Lord, talking to the Lord every day. The Lord is not going to show a stranger something who I don't know from a can of paint that he's not going to show me. He's going to deal directly with me. So I blocked the email and sent it to junk. So I say it to say that to anybody watching this, do not email me with your prophecies and all of that. I do not listen to anybody but God, or who God has told me specifically to listen to. So please do not send me any unsolicited advice. If you know me, it's because you have solicited my advice. You have come to my page. I do not email you. If you're not on my mailing list, I do not text you. If I don't have your phone number, do not send me any emails. You will be blocked and you will be sent to junk. And that's the thing. And so here I am, I'm sitting here reading this, and I'm like, I'm dealing with the death of a friend, and here go an idiot talking about your marriage is I know your marriage may be under attack. And it's like, what are you talking about? And see, that's why I try to tell you, it's important for you to have a relationship with God yourself. To know God for yourself, to wake up and read your Bible every day, so nobody can speak over your life and anything of that nature. And I want to come on here today because I don't think I'm missing any calls right now. I could be missing a call or a rescheduled coaching session. And ironically, I'm going to have to cancel one that I rescheduled for tomorrow. I may be able to do it before the memorial, but I have to fly to Georgia for Amir's memorial. And I'm supposed to have 2 recordings tomorrow. And 2 sessions. But I wanted to remind you just how precious life is, and how we have to stop wasting time. Like we have to stop procrastinating and wasting time. And we have to occupy the time and do what we're called to do. And just put one foot in front of the other. I notice sometimes when I'm coaching people, they will have like this grand vision. And the vision is so grand that they have paralysis by analysis, and they can't make a move because all they can see is the community center that is 100,000 square feet. But they don't see the library room that is free. that the same teachings and lessons that they can share with the youth in the 100,000 square foot community center can be shared in that library room for free. And and I'm speaking to myself right now that I need to find somewhere. Wow, 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 wow. I'm speaking to myself right now. Wow. Look at God. Wow, that is something. That is something. I'll share with you what just hit me is I just reached out to my barber yesterday and I was like, bro, can you look around like near your wife's school? Cause it's in a black neighborhood. And I remember being a substitute teacher there before. It was like all black school in Tampa. And for some buildings. But then it just hit me, maybe I would just go to the school and just ask them, can I use a classroom? Do they have an empty classroom that I could turn into my learning center? Or see if there's a library in walking distance. Or use the library at the school. They may have a library at the school. And just do my after school program right there. And so, man, and then and if I do it right at the school, like in the cafeteria or something, I could just make it for as many kids that want to join. Come in, get some pizza, peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I know they'll want pizza. Get the pizza and partner with me a Hungry Howard's. I might open a Hungry Howard's just to make myself my own money. Be giving my money back to myself. Or Little Caesars, do a partnership with Little Caesars. Right there at the school. But I know they're going to say the school board this and school board that, and we got to get it approved and all of that. But I might go through it and get it approved. So that I ain't got to pay no rent. Because I told them somewhere that's $2,000 a month or less. And so that's what I mean by we have to start walking in purpose. And I've talked to clients who make 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 500,000 and still broke. Like I have been that person, you know, making all that money and still broke. Like we live terribly. And I've had people say to me, like, when I started making money, when I hit around like $500,000, I had a friend say to me, man, you got to save some of that money, man. You got to do this, you got to do this. And he telling me how to manage my money. He wasn't making much money at the time. Well, now his income almost doubled since then. And guess what? It's still tight. And I would tell him, I was like, bro, it sound good. But the more you make, the more life costs you. Like the more you make, the more people have their hand out. The more you make, the more everybody problems becomes your emergency. Like the more it's just how it works. It's just universally. It's like things become more expensive the more you make. And you're not gonna make more money and stay on Section 8. You're not gonna make more money and stay on food stamps. You're not gonna make more money and stay in a dangerous neighborhood. If you're making more money, you're going to move to the best neighborhood your money can afford you for your safety and your peace of mind. So guess what? Now you have more bills. And with more bills, it comes more problems. So when you buy a house, you gotta fix the air conditioning unit when it needs to be replaced. And mine's, I'm being told it needs to be replaced, even though it's blowing good and cold. I'm being told it needs to be replaced. And what they want to sell me costs $20,000. They told me when my roof needs to be replaced, it's going to cost me $40,000. My pool cage out there, the screen over the pool, I got a quote for it, and I was talking about replacing the screens. They don't replace the screens. They say they just do the whole cage. The whole cage was like $80,000. So I say that to say, which doesn't make sense. because that's, just that pool cage, that'll be more than 10% of what I paid for my house. I paid $600,000 for my house when I was 30 years old. And so it's like, I have been successful and living my purpose, but it's still sobering to realize how life works and how we got to find a way to do more. Like, we have to do more. And until we can do it, then we have to support others who are doing it or others who are in need. Like, you may only have $20 that you can afford to give per month or per week. Make that $20 stretch. That $20 might be $1, $2 for 10 to 20 kids in your neighborhood, and that's just the best thing in the world to them because they 5 years old, and they gonna give that to their mama, and their mama gonna put something with it to buy them a pack of bubble gum. Miss such and such gave me $1, mama. Can I put this in here and get me a soda? It's like that's ministry. Like, yeah, that soda might not be good for that baby, but that's ministry. And that baby get that, and one of my coaches texting me right now, and that baby get that, and that's ministry. And so whatever it is, and I'm here to help with ideas. Well, no, I'm not here. I will do it through the YouTube videos because my sessions are booked up. And so I had to close my books. I had to close my sessions. Our session got booked up through January, and I was not expecting that. And so I'm serving every day. I'm on the phone now about 6 hours a day, serving people, pouring into people's life, and I don't have enough time for myself. And I've been, it's been taxing. But guess what? It's purpose. So I have to lean on the everlasting arms of the Lord. And I have to do what I have to do. I was up late last night waiting on my son to come home. I had to pick him up after the football game and Applebee's, senior year, letting him live a little bit. And then my wife had a girls' night they were doing some for one of her friends' birthday. So I was home by myself last night, me and Tatum. And everything good? Okay. And then what? And so you'll be back before we have to leave? Okay. And then if we leave 12:30, we get there like what? 1:45? And he got to be there too? Double check on that. Because I think the game 3. It's at 3. Is it at 3 or we got to be there at 3? Because you know how they be messing it up sometimes? 3? Okay. All right. Love you. My wife taking our youngest son to soccer training because it's free today, if you're a member. And then when they get back, then all of us getting in the Sprinter, and we got to drive an hour and 15 minutes to Bradenton, I think it's called, or whatever, for my oldest son soccer game at 3 o'clock today. And so life keeps going. It's like, what are you creating? And I'm fighting back tears right now because that hit me when I just said life keeps going. Because what are you creating that will outlive you? Even if it's just a book. Even if the book is 10 pages. If you have 1 page of wisdom, publish it. If you have 10 pages of wisdom, publish it. What are you waiting on? You could die in a car accident today. Like, as I'm driving down the street, and I ain't speaking that on you, that's just a reality. And a lot of times we run from the reality. I was driving down the street the other day, and there was a wreck that happened right in front of me. A car smashed into the car in front of it because that car in front of it slammed on brakes because a young lady was on a motorcycle and had gotten hit or had an accident or something, and she had flew off the motorcycle and she was lying on the ground in the middle of the road, on a road where everybody's going 80 to 90 miles an hour. Veterans Expressway. And somebody almost hit the young lady, so they slammed on brakes and it caused another wreck. I'm in the lane right behind them, and I saw it and was able to come to a break. That was the grace of God. That could have been bad, because sometimes I might be driving and texting. And then the other morning after that, I'm riding, everybody come to a stop. I start to brake. I look in my side mirror, and behind me, a car slams into the back of a car in the lane next to me. That could have been me. Just, just wrecks. These are like fender benders, but it just, seeing these darts just flying around and God showing grace. And just riding past wrecks every day, and just wondering, like, Lord, when is it gonna be my day? Like, Lord, thank you. And just pleading the blood of Jesus and just thanking him for grace and mercy, and that my family is not getting in wrecks, that me and my wife not having wrecks, but we passing all these wrecks. And I mean, some of these wrecks, the cars flipped over. The cars burnt to a crisp. On the same expressway, I'm seeing this, and just wreck after wreck after wreck. So it's like, tomorrow isn't promised. Like, everything got to get out today, meaning that you got to put in work today. It's a Saturday. Work on your book, work on your nonprofit outline. Like, go and incorporate your company. I just sent my dad $500 and the name and address and all the information for him to incorporate my new nonprofit. And he's going to incorporate it for me, and he's going to file the 501c3 paperwork, because that's what he does, because he's done it for himself numerous times. So he does it for all my clients who want to start a 501c3. It costs about $1,000, but it's my dad, and I had just, bless him with some funds. So I just paid him the IRS fees and the state fees and stuff like that. So he's going to do that. And then when he does that, I'm building the website and I'm launching. I'm building the website and I am launching. Well, I could build a website before, but I am launching. And I'm get that 501c3, get me a PayPal, go to PayPal, sign up my 501c3 on PayPal. I might sign it up on Stripe too, wherever. Might sign it up on Square, might create a cash out for it. And I'm getting the word out there. And I'm starting my learning centers. I'm starting the Tony Gaskins Learning Center. And I'm going to the schools in the rough neighborhoods, and I'm talking to the guidance counselor. And I'm going to raise the money, or I'm going to invest the money myself, sow the money myself to get a 15-passenger van. I'm going to wrap it. I got to find somewhere to park it. I might park it right at my barber, at a barber shop. Somebody might try to steal it, but God bless them. It'll have insurance on it. And I'm finna get that thing going. And I might start me an AAU team when I get the finances to start an AAU team, and put either my foundation on there or put my company on there, Billionaire, and have them young men flying around the country hooping, living their dreams, and showcasing my company. And just living, just being purposeful and intentional. And I'm sharing my vision with you, just with the hopes that it will inspire your vision. And I see some of y'all, you comment and be like, hey, Tony, you just gave a blueprint. Hey, Tony, somebody could franchise that. Hey, yeah, that's what we here for. And that's what we doing. Like, it is time. Like, I refuse for my voice to be used for foolishness or hypocrisy or anything that's not of God. Like, when it comes to what I'm doing, it's gonna be real. Like, we doing this thing real, and I want to inspire change, and I want this channel to be full of change makers, full of purpose-driven people who are not just sitting idle and just seeking out, gossip and mess and junk, but really trying to live and make a difference, do something, touch somebody's life. You might not touch 1,000,000 lives. It might not be 1,000 lives. It might not be 100 lives. Touch one life. And if you touch one, you might touch 1,000,000, because the one person life that you touch might grow up to have a voice like what you see me have on this here channel. And what I recorded yesterday, and that's what the Lord is showing me, is like, what the Lord is showing me is that Satan is not afraid to promote himself. Like, it was crazy to me to see two of the men that I called out for being fornicators. Instead of them sitting down, both of them literally within a week or two went and got in a pulpit. And neither of them are pastors. So here are two admitted fornicators who are 40 years old and up. And they ran to a pulpit to teach in the pulpit. And I was like, wow, that is the audacity to go seek a pulpit instead of seeking a pew to sit in and be ministered to. Like, if I'm living in sin and I'm struggling with a willing sin like fornication, I'm not getting anywhere near a pulpit. I am in the pew being ministered to. I am declining every invite to that pew until I know that I am strengthened and I am walking upright and I have a track record and I have shown myself that until I beat my last record of abstinence, I would not get in a pulpit. That is bringing damnation upon your life if you are living in willing sin. And what I recorded the other day, it's a book for men. And I posted about it, just not even being conscious. I still was under the Spirit, the Holy Spirit. And I posted about it because I didn't want to post about it, but I went ahead and did it because I'm not a self-promoter. I do not like it at all. And I'm like, I'm not going to want to promote this audiobook. But I have partners in it who supported me, so I also will have to promote it out of my due diligence for them for investing in the project. And so I'm going to promote it, and I'm going to promote it in ways like I've never promoted before. Because I don't know everything I said, and I can't really remember what I said, because we prayed before we started, me and the engineer, we prayed before we started, and that prayer was not a written prayer or a recited prayer, remembered prayer. It was a prayer that I prayed from my heart, like in the Spirit. And I went in that booth and I did this thing the way God told me to do it. Because I wrote a book. So I was supposed, the audiobook was originally going to be, it was going to be me reading the book in audio. Me reading the book and putting it on iTunes. But it just wouldn't have been enough. It would have, and the reading is hard to do. You messing up words. You got to try to sound like you talking regular, and then you got to put music under it, and it just wouldn't do. But with the way that I did it, and just with the Holy Spirit, it's like you have the natural highs and lows. I'm in tears the whole time. I'm getting stuffy while I'm doing it because everything is flowing out of me. It was intense. It was intense. So when you listen to it, it's for men, but I'm sure the message will also bless women as well. But it's gonna be for download on iTunes and streaming. If you have like Apple Music or whatever, you just could download it and stream it, of course, because you're already paying a monthly fee. And I'm not sure where all it'll be because TuneCore, I'm gonna use TuneCore for the distribution, and so I have partners in it, and I'm gonna bless the engineer, and he plays music too, so I'm gonna let him put his touch on it. And if it sits well with my spirit and I don't have any changes, or any changes I have, I'll tell him, and then we're gonna go forward, and we believe, and I'm believing God that it'll be up for pre-order in by December. But you know, I'm at the mercy of the engineer, so we'll be praying for him and his family, because he is a husband and a father. And that right there, and it's for men, so I have to market differently. It's not gonna make sense to a lot of women, in the sense of, if I wrap a private jet and wrap a Rolls Royce and sit it out there on the thing, and it got the audio book name, that's gonna grab the attention of the young men who see it. They're gonna see it on Instagram. I'm believing God, I have the resources to do it, or it'll work out, or I could do it through AI and it look very realistic. And I'm gonna be promoting it. Y'all gonna get tired of me promoting it, but I want 1,000,000 men to download this audio book. I want 1,000,000 men. I'm gonna push to 1,000,000. That might take me 10 years, but I want 1,000,000 downloads of that book. And that might be the equivalent. 1,000,000 streams would be good too, but I don't know how many women in there. I won't know how many men in there either, but I'm pushing to 1,000,000. And when I hit 1,000,000 downloads, that's when I could stop mentioning it and stop talking about it. It might take me 10 years though, so we're gonna see. But I wanted to shake up the world, and it's not gonna be for every man, because a man doesn't change until he's ready to change. But for every man who is ready to change, this gonna help him get over the hump. This gonna be the fire in his belly. Because when I was recording, I had a fire in my belly. And I got one client that I may have sing on it, but I don't know. I don't know yet if I'm gonna add music to it in that way. But I told the producer, tell me if he could hear somewhere we need some type of melody, or some type of, ballad or riff or whatever, hum or whatever. And so I told him, and we may or may not do it. I'm not sure. But this gonna be, for me, this a legacy project. This is a legacy project. And I want you to understand, I want you to listen to what I'm telling you, because I want you to understand that I believe we should all be creating if we are breathing. And so the same way God gave me the company Billionaire, which is the health and wellness company. And he also gave me Gaskins Productions, which was my film company. And he gave me Gaskins Media Group, which is my media company. And he gave me Virtue Tank, which is my tech company. And he gave me Soul Writers, which is my publishing company. And he gave me The Gathering Well, which is my nonprofit, which I'm gonna let that one go, because it's the churches and stuff called The Gathering Well. And now we're gonna go to Tony Gaskins Family Foundation. So gave me Tony Gaskins Family Foundation. And he gave me the Player Mentor Agency, which is my mentorship company for athletes, which is also, he gave me Tony Gaskins Consulting, which is my speaking company for the teams. And he gave me Tag Group Investments, which is my real estate investment company. And he gave me ELT Investments, which is my real estate development company. And now he has given me Friendlin, which is my fintech company, which we're building the site right now. And it's where peer-to-peer lending where you just could track your loans to your friends and family, and they can't ask you for nothing else until they done paid you what they borrowed from you. And so I create that for me. And then he gave me Paragon Watch Company, which is the watch is all this, the prototype has been made. They had to fix one thing. They told me it'll take a few days and then we get it. And in that company, I'm giving 50% to my friend Russ, who was my offensive lineman in college, and he's been my friend ever since. And he has never asked me for one thing. Russ has never asked me for a favor. And it is the most mind-boggling thing to me that God could create a human who can be in the vicinity of the blessings and the favor that God has given me and not ask me for a single favor, and be there for any time I need him, anytime I call him. So Russ can have everything from me. And God blessed me at one point to buy him a Yukon, I think it's called a Yukon, GMC Yukon, and off the lot. And I'm sharing this not to brag or anything like that, but just to share the blessings. And I remember that truck cost me $42,000 cash. And that's my friend. And I'm also sharing this because a lot of people think only ball players do this, only rappers do this. But no, the Lord blessed me to buy Russ that $42,000 car cash, and this was some years back, and do the same by my barber. I went a different route for him and got him a hooked up box Chevy, candy paint, 26-inch wheels, 12s in the back, leather, because he liked box Chevys. And got my sister a car cash, got my mother-in-law a car cash, got my mom a car, got my dad a car, and then gave my dad 2 cars. And the Lord did that. Of course, my wife always have. But the Lord blessed like that. So I just named off 12 companies. And I'm not going to stop, and I'm leaving some out. I'm leaving a few out. And I say that to say, I believe in living my purpose. I believe in using what God gave me. Every company not making $1 million. Every company is not intended to be all of this and that. But you never know which one is going to go. And when one of them go, when one of them take off, in the audio book, it might, I don't know which company I'm going to put it under, probably Gaskins Media Group. But when that audio book, when it goes, let's say it get 1 million downloads, then my thing on iTunes, so it's going to be considered music. That's going to be platinum. That'll be a platinum album. They're not going to call it an audio book because it's going to be on iTunes. If it was on Audible, that's different. I ain't going to Audible though, because they don't have where you could split your percentages. And of that book, I've given away, like the watch company, I told my dad I'm going to give him 20%. And I'm going to give Russ 50%. And it's not that I'm giving my dad less. It's just that my dad has other things from me. And so I really started the watch company for Russ. So all will be left is 30% to the company. And this here audio book, I've given by accepting partners, which I didn't have to do, but some of you have invested in the book. If you're on the mailing list, you saw it and you jumped on it. So all the equity that I was going to give away, 50%, it was gone in a weekend. And that was just, I was like, wow, man, I got, although I have some spectators on here who don't support, they watching and waiting to hear a mistake or something that they could trip me up on or something that they could refute in the comments because they have a demonic spirit in them. Although some of those people are on here and I see them pop up in the comments every now and then, just trying to argue minute things, there are supporters here too. And because just how we was able to have the $500,000 worth of investors into the YouTube channel in 30 days, that 50% equity that I gave in that book. And guess what? I am so glad that, and I'm praying, I'm gonna push this book hard. Cause I'm gonna help you. Let me do the math for you. Okay? Because I have a client who I think she bought 3%. I think. I cannot remember. I'm gonna check the document after this. But she had a couple $100,000 from a real estate deal she did. And she has, life cost money. Life cost, she got family, she got stuff to do. She made some investments. Some of them didn't pan out. Some of the investments were bad investments. But she did everything she could to flip that money. But one of the things she did is she bought 3% of this book. I think it's 3%. I need to check back and see. She bought 3% of this book for $1,500 because the first 25% was $500 per percent. And so she a partner. Basically, it's an investor. So it's not like a share. It's like these people are investors. And this is something that I did because I seen the young man. I don't know if his name is La Russell or L.A. Russell. But I seen that he allow you to submit. So I'm giving credit what credit due now. But he's a rapper. And that's in music. And I don't know if he got it from somebody or if that's what they do in music. But this has never been done in books. So I'm an innovator. So I said, I want to do this in books. But in another form of innovation, I'm going to do my audio book on iTunes where the music is instead of on Audible where audio books are. So now I'm starting a wave, and you're going to see a lot of people start putting their books on iTunes now because now they can divvy out the percentages. And then with the book, I probably will do what some of the other artists are doing where they putting it on a site where you could pay what you want to pay for it. So $0, 10 cents, or $1,000 and whatever you want. And some people just say, hey, I'm going to be a blessing. And then with the money that I make personally, because this book, I've given away 65% of it. So yes, I could have did it and say, oh, I'm finna push it, and try to make money. But this ain't about money. This is about the reach. This book is going to set men free. Because it set me free while I was talking. While the Holy Spirit was speaking through me, it set me free. I talked to the engineer. He said, man, I felt a conviction. He said, but it was a good thing. He said, I felt confirmation and I felt conviction. And I could tell I started crying at the end while I'm doing the acknowledgments and just thanking the investors and thanking the engineer, because when I looked out of the glass of the door, I could see the engineer shadow swaying. So he was standing up and he had moved back and he was standing up and he was swaying. Like when you in the spirit, like when you praying. And I'm like, man, he either ready to go or he feeling something. And he was there when I was done, and I could tell he felt it. And he said, no, man, yeah, this gonna do something. This gonna do something. And so and then he introduced me to his partner who does graphics and stuff. So I was going to do a contest for the graphics, but it may be overwhelming to do that. So I may see what his guy does first. And if his guy does something first, I'm going to keep it in-house because I only want holy hands on this. I don't want any kind of random spirits on this. But I'm going to explain it to you. So the way iTunes work is, if the album is $10, Apple takes 30% for now. If we go into a recession, they might up it to 40% like Amazon has done. So Amazon with the book publishing, they used to take 30%. Now they've bumped it to 40%. Jeff Bezos greedy behind stealing from the authors. He done bumped his percentage up to 40% from 30% so he could get that space shuttle to Mars. And so Apple right now, to my knowledge, unless they changed it in recent, they take 30%. So $7, if somebody downloads it for $10, $7 will go to my TuneCore account. So as you know, $7, 1% of $7 is 7 cents. So now let's take it bigger than that. When we have $100,000, when it has earned $100,000, like profit, not gross, when $100,000 comes in, 1% of $100,000 is $1,000. So the people who paid $500 for 1%, they will have doubled their money. The people who paid $1,000 for 1%, they will have earned their money back. So my client who bought 3%, if I'm not mistaken, spent $1,500. When we earn 100,000, when the audiobook has earned 100,000 profit, that will be $3,000 that she gets. She will have double her money. I'm believing God that happens in the first year. And this project is for life. I feel like saying something that y'all false teachers be saying. Somebody get a Lord a shout. Somebody praise him. Somebody give my amen. Who gonna dance in here? Somebody run around the building. It just, think about that now. And see, this the thing right here. This why I tell you, get that hate out your blood. Get that hate out your blood. Because guess what? These people could have been pocket watchers. And they could have said, hey, I ain't finna invest in you, Tony Gaskin. You always talk about the blessings of the Lord on your life. I'm not giving you a dime. I ain't finna invest in your project. So some people did that. These people jumped in, but it was such an influx of people that I believe I actually gave away 53 or 55%. Because at the end, because the first 25 was $500 and the next 25% was $1,000 per percent. But at the end, I think a lady came in and said, Tony, I want 5% at 5,000. And I can't remember her name, but she is, that sister came in there. And I don't know, I can't remember her name. If you watch this video, that's going to tell me you're a real supporter. If she's not watching this video, then she might be done with me by now. Because I be running people off because, the truth step on toes. But so imagine her now at 5%. At $100,000 earned like profit, not gross. Because 100,000 gross, we get 70,000. So it need another 30,000. So when we get there, she'll get $5,000 at her 5%. She'll be earned out. And then guess what? If it earned 100,000 every year for 10 years, then her 5,000 gonna turn into 50,000. So you see what I mean? She'll 10x her money in 10 years. Now, the way the Lord worked, it could do more than that. But if it does less than that, I'm going to be promoting it for the rest of my life. And even when the Lord called me home, it's still going to be there. And our accounts will be everybody will have a trust, I'm hoping, or a will or something, a estate plan, so that they earnings from this project that they invested in will go to their children or their next of kin or to their favorite charity if they don't have a next of kin, and just be deposited there. So as long as TuneCore exists, which I don't see why it would ever not exist, because we'll always have music in the world. If music leaves the world, then we know we done. And as long as Apple exists, which I don't see Apple going anywhere because we always have phones. And so it's like that right there. And with this stuff, any of it that's used anywhere, if we use it on YouTube, the money goes to the account, to the TuneCore. If I play that audiobook here on YouTube, the money don't come to the YouTube, it goes to there. And when it's used on TikTok, somebody sent me something saying TikTok gonna be banned in January. I don't know if it was real news or fake news. But when it's used on TikTok, used on Instagram, they have to pay for the access, for the streams, the licensing, probably pay a much smaller fee. Spotify, all that, streams. So this what I'm sharing this just verbatim with you, and I'm gonna do these explorations every now and then with you because I want you to be inspired. I was talking to my dad the other day. I was like, Dad, I don't know how I feel. I said, Dad, I don't know how I feel about creating the stuff that God give me to create, and the fact that He gives me provision for it. I said, I just don't understand it. I say, I don't want to promote it. I don't want to share it because I don't want to offend my haters. Like, I don't want them to be like, man, he doing too much. He got too much going on, man. He got a watch company. He got a health and wellness company. He got a fintech company. Man, he doing too much. All I got is a podcast. And I'm like, Dad, I don't want to, make anybody feel less than. And he said, Tony, if they heart right, they should feel inspired. I say, you right. I say, that's my hope and my prayer, that people will be inspired and not jealous or in competition or hating, that they will look and say, what can I create? What can I do? And because I got a client right now who she took and she stepped out on a limb and she got in my year of coaching program. And now I'm finna help her get an investment for her idea. And I think her idea is a multi-million-dollar idea. It's in a space that women know, love, and need, and it'll always be around. And yeah. And I think she's a single mom. And I mean, she is a billionaire. She got so much in her. I told her, you got to get in the program because I can't help you any other way because you're a woman. So I mentor men. I don't mentor women unless only time I mentor a woman is if she has like influence, like hundreds of thousands or millions of followers. And I have to, and I'm not necessarily mentoring her. I'm a life coach to her. And so, but I'm like, I can't do what I need to do and like give you the access and the resources and the insight and access to my investors in your project if you're not in the program, because then I would be doing a favor for a woman, and that's not appropriate as a married man unless it's a kingdom authorization, like God says, no, this is somebody that I need you to sow into because she finna be like whatever woman we could relate to in the Bible. I don't know if y'all be talking about Deborah or Esther or whoever. And y'all be, y'all love the fire today. Y'all be like, okay, all right, you Deborah. God bless you. Here go a cookie. And so I'm believing God for her. And so it's like, if your heart right, and you start activating and doing what you can do, you're going to see blessings and change in your life. But hey, thank you for being with me today. I'm not sure if there'll be another video going up tonight. It may be, but this is kind of the space I'm in right now. So I'm hoping if you see this video, if you got to this point, thank you so much. But when you see these videos that's not dealing with love and relationships, especially if you're investing in the channel, make sure you let it play all the way through if you're investing in the channel. But also, too, so it shows the YouTube algorithm that you care about purpose talks and business talks and not just love and relationship talks. Because the way they have it set up right now, they only really show my videos that have a relationship, that's about relationships, to my audience. And the rest of the stuff, they don't push it out to the audience, just because of how the algorithm works. So understand that. So sometimes I have to mistitle something. So I may have to mistitle it to say, like, have a relationship with yourself, or why self-love is so important. And the video might not be about that. So I'm giving you a heads up, if you, because you're an OG, if you still watching right now or letting it play to this point. If you ever see a title that doesn't match what I'm talking about, I did that for algorithm purposes so that you could get the video suggested to you, so you'll even know that I posted. And then when you don't get a suggestion to you, just check back. When you come on here every day, just, find my channel, click on it, see if I posted that day. And sometimes you got to post before bed. I mean, you got to check before bed, and then you just listen, just let it play, while you going to sleep or whatever, doing your nighttime routine, and get it in your spirit, or the next morning when you're riding to work or what have you. Because sometimes I post late, 11 p.m. It might not get uploaded. It's not that I'm posting. I shot it before that, but if I was out without Wi-Fi, it just, sometimes it'll take an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours to upload. They don't have it set to where, they need to set to where you almost could like airdrop it to YouTube, which that's going to come one day. Mark my words, I said it, where we could do like instant type of uploads where it don't have to take so long, just like doing an airdrop or something. And so one day YouTube will have towers throughout the country, just like AT&T, so to speak, where you could just boop, 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 ping off their tower and it just get an instant upload type of thing, or as fast as like a airdrop. But right now with this video, if I upload this hour-plus long video on data outside of my house without Wi-Fi, on Wi-Fi, this video gonna take 30 minutes to upload. With data outside, this video will take an hour plus, but it'd probably be around hour and a half, 2 hours, could even be 3-4 hours that it would take to upload. But hey, this Tony Gaskins, God bless you. And I'm know that I'm sharing numbers and stuff with you, not to brag or anything like that, but just to teach you about business and about how this stuff works. Because I know even some of my investors may not understand the numbers and how it'll work, and how iTunes work and TuneCore works, and how they gonna get paid and all of that. So I share this so that when you do it, and you're able to share that with your friends and family who support and invest in your audiobook. God bless you. We'll talk soon.